So in the last few days, I've been on Facebook and I've seen this guy on there. His name's John Truth. I don't know if Truth is actually his last name. I think that's just like a title that he has on his page. But he is a flat earth Christian. He's a flat earth believing Christian. He's very deeply entwined with the Bible, and he talks about like the true name of God and things like that. And some of his videos are really good. I like a lot of his videos. One of the videos I watched was him comparing the Geneva Bible to the King James Bible, and I like what he did there. But I've seen more of his videos, and a lot of his things are kind of ridiculous. So, for example, he talks about how the Earth is flat, how NASA is lying to us, and how Nixon didn't call people on the moon or whatever. But we'll get into that later. We'll get into that deeper in the video. But yeah, and he's also a Book of Enoch enthusiast. He believes in the Book of Enoch. He follows that as well, which is just not a good sign, in my opinion at least. But without further ado, let's get into the video and let's talk about this.
Someone else found it strange that all the ancient civilizations had the same depiction of the universe. This is the Hebrews, the Navajos, the Incas, the Mayans, the Hindus, the Norse, the Egyptians. All of those depict a flat, stationary plane with a firmament over top. And then NASA came along, they created the flying ball with curved water. Okay, so maybe those civilizations were wrong? But what does NASA mean in Hebrew? To beguile or to deceive. And why does their logo have a serpent tongue going through it? What's a serpent? A large snake, a sly or treacherous person, especially one who exploits a position of trust in order to betray it. Let me know what y'all think. Like and follow for more. Space is a made-up fairy tale. Every ancient civilization had the same exact depiction of the universe. The Greeks, the Mayans, the Babylonians, the Incans, Navajos, Tibetans, the Celtics, the North.
Celtics have got 3 seconds. 2. Bird, a runner. It's good!
Islam, the Masons, the Hebrews, which is the true biblical cosmology, the Slavics, the Sumerians, Chumash, the Hindus, and the Egyptians all have depicted a flat stationary earth with a firmament dome over top surrounded by water. When they tell us they're going to space, they're really just going to this area between the firmament and the earth. And it's not that big. We don't live in an ever-expanding galaxy. This is made to deceive you and make you feel like a small little speck. This is Wernher von Braun's gravestone. He's one of the founders of NASA, and on his gravestone it reads Psalms 19 verse 1. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. The firmament is this glass dome where all the stars are located, and the sun and the moon. These things are local, which is why we're able to catch pictures of the sun with clouds in front of it and clouds behind it. We're living in a matrix, which is why you need to go download the True Earth book in my profile right now.
So let's talk about the flat earth aspect of his channel first, since it's probably the easiest part to break down and debunk. So you can see he shows off the images of the different cultures and how they see the earth. And he firmly believes it. He believes that the sun and the moon are like inside of our atmosphere, or inside the firmament is what he calls it. And I'm going to debunk all of that right now. So first of all, if the earth was flat, then how come when you're in the northern equator, the north hemisphere, and you look at the sun's facing south. And if you're in the southern hemisphere and you look at the sun's facing north at all times. How come that is a thing? If the Earth was flat, it wouldn't do that. But it does. Why is that? Because we have an equator, and the sun points towards the equator. And there's a northern hemisphere and a southern hemisphere that pinches that equator in. So that is why, and that's how that works. So, right there should be enough evidence to prove that the Earth is flat, or the Earth is spherical. But anyway, let's keep going. All the other planets are spheres. Jupiter is a sphere, Mars is a sphere, Mercury, Venus, Neptune, Pluto. I know Pluto's not a planet. I'm trying to think of what else I'm missing. Can't think. Neptune, Saturn, that's what I was missing. And the Sun. They're all spheres. If you look at them on a telescope, they're all spheres. Stars are all spheres. The Sun's a sphere. The Moon is a sphere. So it's very clear that the Earth is also spherical because all the other planets are spherical. I can't believe I have to go through this, honestly. This is kind of insane, really. Moving on. You cannot have seasons on a flat Earth. Seasons don't work. The reason why we have seasons is because the Earth tilts around like this. Just pretend this Bible's the Earth. So like sometimes it tilts like this, but then eventually it tilts forward. And it like goes back and forth like this. And that's how we get our seasons, because the different positioning of the Earth causes different weather patterns. And then let's just move on to the next one. GPSs, how accurate GPSs are. If you zoom out of a GPS, you zoom out and get a big picture. The Earth is round on the GPS, and then you zoom in. Yet, it's super accurate. If the GPS showed the Earth as a sphere, but the Earth was actually flat, how would it be so accurate? It wouldn't be able to be accurate if at that point. And then, what else? Oh, he's very keen on it's all NASA. It's all NASA manipulating all this, even though the Earth being round was discovered in 5th century BC. Literally 500 years before Jesus was born, they discovered this. They used this thing called geometry, which I know most people don't like geometry. Most people failed it in school. But geometry is what they use to find that out. And they use different experiments like the well experiment and stuff like that. You ever see the moon when it's not full? When you got a full moon, right? You can see it all. But when the moon isn't full, what does it look like? It kind of has like a curved, part of it's curved out, you know what I mean? You got that crescent shape. Why would we have a crescent-shaped moon if the Earth is flat? You know what I mean? If the Earth is flat, the reason why the moon has that crescent shape when it's not full is because it's falling behind Earth's shadow. If falling behind the Earth's shadow means that it gives it a curved look, wouldn't that also relate to the Earth also being curved? Because something that's flat can't make a curved shadow. Only something that's curved can make a curved shadow. So, that is most of my debunking of that. He also believes that the moon isn't a rock. He believes that the moon is a light in of itself, even though that's also not true. Because when the moon goes behind the Earth's shadow, you can't see it. So, it's not a light of itself if it disappears behind a shadow. Light, there can be no darkness when there's no darkness when there's light. You know what I mean? And then he made a whole video about the Richard Nixon not being able to. He made a whole video trying to debunk the moon landings, which is ridiculous that we're still on this topic after how many years now? Anyway, he's clearly never heard of a radiophone, which is what Richard Nixon used when he called the guys on the moon. He used a radiophone. So that's how that happened. So anyway, without further ado, let's move on to the Book of Enoch and why Christians shouldn't follow the Book of Enoch.
Satan's true name is God. We are not supposed to be calling upon the name God, and I'm going to show you. So I'm reading from the Book of Enoch, which was removed from our Bibles.
Alright, so moving on to the Book of Enoch and why Christians shouldn't follow it. I mean, you can read it. I recommend you guys read it for yourself so you're not just listening to me talk about it. But if you don't want to listen to me talk about it, I'll tell you why you shouldn't even bother with it. If you've never heard of the Book of Enoch, good. Keep it that way. It'll make your life much easier. So, there's a parable in the Book of Enoch, and Enoch is taken to heaven just like he was in the Bible. And he's shown images, and he's shown about this Messiah figure that brings justice and judges the sinful. And after all these parables are shown to him, he's later taken to the heaven of heaven, which I don't know how biblically accurate that is, but sure. And he's greeted by archangels and angels all alike, and he is greeted as the Messiah shown in those images. Now, mind you, Enoch did not write the Book of Enoch. Enoch does not have a known author. But in the Book of Enoch, whoever wrote it, it's very clear that he's stating that Enoch is the Messiah, because that's how he was greeted when he went to the heaven of heaven, which he's not, as we all know. So that's why the Book of Enoch should not be taken seriously, in my opinion. I could show you another example of why the Book of Enoch should not be taken seriously. In the Book of Enoch, it also states that Noah was born with a full set of white hair, that he was born fully developed, and that he had like sun rays coming from his eyes. His eyes could like light up a room, which is just insane to me, at least, because the Bible doesn't mention any of that. The Bible doesn't mention that at all. You would think that the Bible would mention that if that was true. Like that'd be a really cool thing to learn, but the Bible doesn't have it in there. And the Book of Enoch saying that it doesn't add up. I don't think it makes sense. It doesn't work. Therefore, that's why I believe that Christians should stay far away from the Book of Enoch, and that we shouldn't follow it. Oh, one more point I wanted to make. He brings up the point that the Book of Enoch was found within the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I want to bring this up because this is important. Just because it was found within the Dead Sea Scrolls does not make it a legitimate doctrine. The Dead Sea Scrolls, which is it was like a library, and they found a bunch of just ancient texts. It's not necessarily legitimate scripture just because it was found within the Dead Sea with the Dead Sea Scrolls does not necessarily mean it's a legitimate doctrine. Because the Dead Sea Scrolls, like I said, it's like a library of different doctrines and texts. There's like song books and community regulations and laws. It wasn't just like scripture. I just wanted to bring that up too, make that very clear, that just because something's part of the Dead Sea Scrolls doesn't mean you have to follow it. Alright, so that's the end of my video. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, leave a comment, give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, with me debunking things, talk about things, you should subscribe. Alright, see you guys later.